They're riding for a chance at $1 million.
I'll be disappointed with anything but a win.
$1 million, that'd be nice.
I'm gonna take it all, and you're never gonna see me again. I'll be living the high life in Costa Rica.
It's the biggest bonus in cycling history. It's billed as the Thrift Drug Triple Crown, and the lure has brought out cycling's best teams. Motorola with 21-year-old Lance Armstrong. Chevrolet LA Sheriff with current U.S. Pro Points leader Malcolm Elliott. 1991 Thrift Drug Classic winner Mike Engelman of Coors Light. And current U.S. Pro champion Bart Bowen of Subaru Montgomery. The top 4 U.S. teams, along with an international field, know today marks the beginning of a new era in cycling. It's all part of the Tour of America series, races that challenge the best the sport has to offer. It's off to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania for the second stop on the Tour of America. Across town, over 25,000 baseball fans will be watching the Pirates play, and I suppose there might be a few around here who are still mourning the early departure of the Stanley Cup champion Penguins. But today, the streets belong to bicycle racing. Hello, everybody. I'm Brian Dreber. Over 100,000 fans are expected to line the streets in the Steel City, and we're going to crown a new champion in the City of Champions in the Thrift Drug Classic. A great first prize available here today, and working with me, as always, my broadcast partner, two-time U.S. Pro champion John Eustace.
Brian, it's $1 million, and I have it right here. That's more money than I saw in my entire racing career. To win this, a rider will have to win 3 races starting today.
Lance Armstrong knows what it takes to win here in Pittsburgh. Last year, Lance rode a solo break to victory for the U.S. national team. This year, he hopes to repeat for his new team, Motorola, and earn a shot at the $1 million. For Britain's Malcolm Elliott, he leads the current Tour of America standings off his exciting sprint finish victory in Atlanta's first Union Grand Prix. Already no stranger to the victory stand here in the U.S., Malcolm would love a shot at the $1 million.
How many British pounds is that anyway? Oh well, no matter how you count it, it's still
$1 million!
Some riders openly talk about it, others prefer to let their bike do the talking.
Today is definitely the first step.
The Thrift Drug Classic is underway, and with it the hopes of over 100 riders.
It's 12 laps of an 8-mile circuit with 4 6-mile finishing loops. The race begins and ends in downtown Pittsburgh. Crossing the Smithfield Bridge, riders go through Station Square, en route to Southside, and back up to the focal point of the race.
They call it the Burma Road. It rises 1,145 vertical feet. It's like climbing the Empire State Building in less than a mile. And not only do you have to do it once, but 12 times. After that, you see who's strong. It's because of this climb, the Thrift Drug Classic. It's considered the hardest one-day race in North America.
After conquering Sycamore, it's downhill and back to town and time to do it again. When it's all done, you know the riders have earned their share of the $16,000 first prize.
I'm already hurt, man.
With so much on the line, it's no wonder Coors Light's Roy Nickman looks to be in a tight squeeze to the front. Not the case for Chevrolet LA Sheriff's Andrzej Mierzejewski, who looks pretty comfortable in the lead. The swarming pack out of the saddle and dancing through this first time up Sycamore. It's here, after a few miles under your belt, that the weak are separated from the strong.
Certainly one of the stronger finishers in the bunch is Chevrolet LA Sheriff's Malcolm Elliott, who has almost single-handedly taken a once weak team and made them the team to watch. With his lightning-fast sprint finish, sometimes it's easy to take a narrow look at this man's many talents.
It's perhaps been a little bit, looking a little bit, well, not taking a wide enough picture, but you know, I see myself more as an all-rounder with a sprint bias.
The picture today features an unforgiving climb up Sycamore Street that'll test anyone's legs, no matter how reborn they feel.
The start of a new career, really, for me. I feel as if one career over in Europe ended, and now I can. I really do feel like a new rider. I feel a bit like a neo-pro again.
And the team has responded well to this injection of new blood. The field, perhaps smelling blood, has decided it's time to test their legs. Well, maybe not everyone. It's lap number 3 now, only 30 miles into the race, and you can sense a tense expectation of moves yet to come.
And sure enough, on the tough climb of Sycamore, Motorola's Frankie Andreu is the last to jump on board of a two-man break, joining Coors Light's John Leeswin and Malcolm's teammate Chevrolet LA Sheriff's Andrzej Mierzejewski. The pack moves on, undaunted by this attack. There's plenty of race ahead. Andrzej Mierzejewski, nicknamed Tank by his teammates, is no stranger to success. Last year, as an independent, he defied the odds and finished second at the Coors State's U.S. Pro Cycling Championships. The perfect complement to the high-octane Malcolm Elliott, Andrzej is there as a tank in reserve if Malcolm's motor fails.
While back in the pack, Mr. All-American Lance Armstrong is on the move. Perhaps he can sense the danger of waiting too long with Motorola down to just 3 riders. Teammates Thomas Bai and Greg Moens, after a long trip from Europe, have already called it a day. And so has Coors Light's David Mann. Lance Armstrong seems to be the man and has seized the opportunity to bridge the gap, enlisting the help of U.S. national team member Marty Jemison. These two are on a quest to catch the leaders.
Subaru Montgomery's Nate Reese and Bart Bowen lead the pack, as they know there is no Subaru rider covering the break. They discuss what lay ahead if they are to bridge the gap and move up on the leaders.
Meanwhile, Lance Armstrong is 2 legs strong for even Marty Jemison, and the lead group consists of Mierzejewski, Leeswin, and Frankie Andreu of Motorola, who has slowed down the break so that teammate Lance Armstrong could join up with him. The 4 leaders now pass by the chase group as if a game of tag is underway. Coors Light's Alexei Greywall is the next man on the move. He passes Marty Jemison, who's fading back towards the pack, and Greywall has gotten word that his teammate John Leeswin, who was in this breakaway, is moving back to try to help him join the 3 leaders. So Frankie Andreu, Lance Armstrong, and Tank Mierzejewski climb very strongly, 3 riders in the lead group. For Chevrolet LA Sheriff's Malcolm Elliott, today was not to be. Lasting exactly half of the 120 miles, the Sheriff of Nottingham's a little ill, and a big hill proved to be too much for him. In fact, Sycamore has begun to take its toll as some 40 riders have abandoned on what we call the Burma Road.
For the leaders, their lead has sailed up to over 2 minutes. But the questions remain. Did they go out too early? Will they have anything left for the finish? Mierzejewski and Andreu have been leading most of the race. Lance Armstrong has been able to sit back and let teammate Frankie Andreu take his turn at the front. John Leeswin, back in the pack on orders, is working hard at the front to help the pack catch the breakaway. Up front, the added work has taken its toll on Frankie Andreu, who has been dropped by the 2 leaders. Mierzejewski and Armstrong endure up Sycamore, becoming equal partners in trying to make this break succeed.
A few years ago, Lance Armstrong was a triathlete looking for his niche in the world of sports. Last year, as an amateur, there was no doubt Lance was in a league with the big boys. At Atlanta's First Union Grand Prix, he outsprinted Greg Orovitz for the victory. Then here in Pittsburgh, he won all by himself. Yeah, Lance Armstrong found his niche all right. He's the all-American boy.
That's me.
He rides with a cause.
USA. USA.
He thrives on pain.
I like it tough.
He likes his rock and roll.
The Butthole Surfers.
Who is this guy?
I'm just a kid from Texas.
Just a kid from Texas. At 21, Lance Armstrong is a kid all right from Austin, Texas. Not exactly known for breeding professional cyclists, but Armstrong has prevailed. This 1992 Olympian came to Pittsburgh and proved to be the man of steel.
That was a great day. That was probably the single best day I've ever had in my career. truly. That's a nice race. 12 times up that hill, no wimps are going to win. I tell you, I had a great day, and I was just ready to open it up.
Response to pressure defines great athletes, like Greg LeMond, three-time winner of the Tour de France. While Lance Armstrong also battles past the reminder of lost Olympic glory, he discounts the pressure of being tabbed the next Greg LeMond.
I try to ignore it, and I'm on the Armstrong program. I'm the first Lance Armstrong. I have my own agenda. I know what I want to do in the sport, and whether or not I accomplish the same things that Greg has accomplished, been great, but I'm by no means setting out saying, I want to do what Greg has done, I want to do this.
As the regimented professional he is, the Armstrong program on this day entails a 6-hour ride outside of his hometown of Austin. With the world at his wheels, Lance Armstrong must push past the pressure of his tremendous potential.
Motorola's been very fair to me, and if I have the good legs, then they say, hey, Lance, go for it.
With professionals allowed in the '96 Olympics, he'll once again suffer for another crack at the gold. But then Lance likes to suffer.
At times, yeah. I mean, when you're in good shape and the form is good, and suffering it's a very sweet pain.
You can bet he's in shape today, and there's no telling what awaits over the horizon. But Lance Armstrong has to be a favorite to taste victory again in Pittsburgh. Back to the race, Lance Armstrong looking for teammate Frankie Andreu, who doesn't have the legs to keep up. And another guy without the legs here today, Subaru Montgomery's Nate Reese, so they've lost a bullet out of their gun as well. Leaving the work over to Bart Bowen, the U.S. Pro Champion. He's looking for help, but he's going to have to go it alone, something he's done before. June 7th, 1992, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, to be exact. With 12 miles left in the 156-mile Pro Championship, the Bartman burst past the lead group virtually unnoticed. He won it all alone. Bart Bowen is used to riding alone. Training near his hometown of Ruidoso, New Mexico, Bowen has tested some grueling terrain, but little comes close to the hill here in Pittsburgh they call the Burma Road. The chances of an unnoticed escape are slim indeed.
Pittsburgh, it's pretty, it's hard to hide in the field, let's say. You know, that hill kind of brings out who's going good and who's not right away. So I like that race a lot. I think it suits my style, and I'd like to get that one under my belt.
With a U.S. Pro Championship under his belt, Bowen knows pain. He has endured the kind of agony it takes to win and wear the red, white, and blue jersey of Core States. He'll push today to bring another win home to the land of enchantment. Back here in Pittsburgh, there's nothing enchanting about the Sycamore Street Hill, and a sense of urgency is felt by Bart Bowen and the rest of the field as they know there are two strong leaders ahead. Up front, Frankie Andreu has successfully rejoined the leaders on the descent, not using much energy here, but the question is, has he expended too much on the climb?
Coors Light is leading the chase. The lead increased to over 230. Andreu can no longer keep pace and has dropped again. Lance Armstrong signals for his team car to get instructions. Should he go it alone with Mirzajuski? For Anže, the course is clear. He's Sheriff's only chance with Malcolm Elliott out of the race.
Back with the chasers, Bart Bowen is joined by Coors Light's Mike Engelman, and these men know that their team has been unwise, unfortunate, or perhaps unlucky in not making what could be the crucial breakaway. Mike Engelman might have been born under a bad sign. Back home in Boulder, 5:58.5. Wait a minute. Well, anyway, Engelman's hoping his luck will change and age won't get the best of Coors Light.
You know, I was talking to Scott Moniger about the team's getting older just the other day, and he was thinking, geez, man, one of these years just everybody's going to quit on me. I'm going to be the only guy left. And Scott's 27, so it's not like we're total youth.
At 35 and 33, respectively, Engelman and his Boulder buddy Davis Finney are hoping for a couple more kind years.
My kind of year last year was one of those years that it's kind of like something to feed on for the next year. The last couple months came around, but it was just one health problem after another early on.
Engelman started cycling as an alternative to running, which took its toll on his knees. Acupuncture is one way Mike strives to stretch out his cycling career. Both he and Davis Phinney will soon ride off to wherever old cyclists go, and they'll pass on the reins to a new generation of silver bullets. Mike Engelman, 14 years, Lance's senior, knows time is running out as the two leaders are working well together, and they have maintained their lead in the 2-minute range. Mierzejewski, himself a dozen years older than Armstrong, shows no signs of tiring as these two just keep motoring on.
For Coors Light, another casualty, as this time it's Steven Swart who has had enough. For Coors, it's Scott Moninger, who picks up the chase in hopes of catching the two leaders. Encouraged by the crowd that has been building all day, the two leaders climb Sycamore for the last time and know the finish is downhill from here. But with 30 miles left, Ron Kiefel, who rode with Motorola and Lance Armstrong just last year, knows his role for his new team Coors is to pick up the chase.
My role with Motorola was to be getting in the early breakaways or setting up the finish or, take care of things at the end. I had the opportunity, if it came down to it, I could try to win the race, but 9 times out of 10 I was working for the team. Here, I have definitely more latitude.
Ron Kiefel has taken that latitude and won with it. This year marks the reunion of a number of former 7-Eleven riders now riding for Coors Light. Kiefel's European experience is sure to help him land atop many more podiums to come.
I've been through all these situations, so I know what to expect, and so I'm just going to try to play my hand, play it cool, and then be there right at the end and go for it.
Trying to play it just right, Ron Kiefel knows there's still plenty of time in this race if the chase can start working smoothly together. For many a race has been won in the finishing loops when the leaders tire and the pack picks up momentum. That could be especially true on this course.
Lance Armstrong knows that only too well. In Atlanta, he led for most of the race, only to be swallowed up by the pack in the final 2 miles. The chase, perhaps sensing the time is running out, starts to get some activity as the Italians make their presence felt. The two leaders know the finish can't be far and pedal on. Coors Light seems worried about the Italians, who have only now surfaced. Roberto Pelliconi and Angelo Canzonieri make their move. The lead is dropping, and it's now gut check time, as the race will be won or lost in these finishing circuits. Things are certainly heating up as the chase knows it's now or never. Andrzej Mierzejewski obviously thirsty for a win. The leaders try to hang on.
A minute that these men are going to have to make up in 1 6-mile lap, and the bell sounds for these men as well. It's going to be over. The move that began on lap number 2 by Mierzejewski, joined 2 laps later by Lance Armstrong, is now looking like it was the move.
It's now obvious to the field the winner will come from one of these two. The only thing left to fight for is 3rd place, and Ron Kiefel gets the jump. He's followed by Italian Roberto Pelliconi. And now it's the cat and mouse game where each rider tries to outweight his opponent and get a good jump to the finish. They appear to have enough time to do this and not be overtaken by Kiefel and Pelliconi coming up from behind. Mierzejewski jumps first. Lance Armstrong is on his wheel in the draft going into the win. It's neck and neck, and Lance Armstrong trying and waiting patiently to make the move that he hopes will win. The powerful Andrzej Mierzejewski is fighting for the finish line, but Armstrong gets there first by a wheel width and throws his arms in the air to win his 2nd consecutive Thrift Drug Classic and the first leg of the $1 million Triple Crown. 2 in a row. They said it couldn't be done, but Lance Armstrong does things that a lot of people say can't be done. His partner Andrzej Mierzejewski will share in the thrill of this victory.
In the race for 3rd, it's Coors Light's Ron Kiefel who gets the jump on Italy's Roberto Pelliconi. Kiefel cruises in for a fine 3rd place finish.
Hard battles have been fought all day. Lance Armstrong accepts the congratulations of the pro champion. Mierzejewski the same from Kiefel.
Tell you, I did not feel good today. That was probably the toughest day of my career for sure.
Lance's will and legs prevailed. He played it perfectly as he used the lead out from Mierzejewski to his advantage. After leading the race for more than 100 miles, Andrzej Mierzejewski was just edged out at the finish.
I tried my best and got second, you know, but it's pretty good. I'm happy.
Everybody was really a little afraid to really dig and chase. There's the two off the front there giving everything. And they just, you know, they did a great ride. We in the back, you know, were rolling through trying to keep the tempo steady, but nobody was willing to make their super big effort to get across, close a gap, and they stayed away. And all we could really do at the last lap is once they had that minute going in the last lap, we pretty much knew that we were going for third place.
Today's $16,000 first prize goes to Lance Armstrong and Team Motorola on their way to an even bigger payday.
What more incentive would you need to go for it for 2 more races than $1 million?
And the pressure of that $1 million bonus falls squarely on the young shoulders of this 21-year-old first-year pro. All eyes will be focused on Lance Armstrong's every move as he attempts to win cycling's first $1 million purse. That's a big one. Lance Armstrong's winning time, 4 hours, 47 minutes, and 34 seconds over Andrzej Mierzejewski, Ron Kiefel rounding out the top 3. And the Tour of America standings, well, Lance Armstrong and Malcolm Elliott tied with 1 win apiece. Next up for Lance, the Kmart Classic of West Virginia. Until then, I'm Brian Dreber.
And I'm John Eustace. So long.
The view is spectacular. 90 riders from 14 different countries catch a glimpse of just some of the beauty West Virginia has to offer. 14 teams compete for $75,000 in total prize money in the Kmart Classic of West Virginia. A 6-day race that offers one man, Motorola's Lance Armstrong, a chance to get one step closer to $1 million bonus. It's all part of a series of races that challenge the best the sport has to offer. It's the Tour of America Cycling Series. It began in Atlanta, then Pittsburgh, and now it's West Virginia's turn to play host to these athletes. Over 500 miles of racing lie ahead of the peloton here in the hills and hollows of West Virginia. But first it begins with a prologue time trial in the streets of Morgantown. Hello everybody, I'm Brian Dreber. We started off the Tour of America with 2 single-day events in which there was no tomorrow for the riders who were trying to win. But instead, the Kmart Classic of West Virginia will be decided over 6 days, a series of tomorrows for these athletes. Working with me as always, my broadcast partner, 2-time U.S. Pro Champion John Eustace, and indeed, this one is going to be very, very different.
A stage race is similar to a decathlon, a grueling event held over a period of days. Your overall champion is not your best climber, not your best sprinter, but your strong overall athlete, and it is decided on time. Beginning this is with our appetizer prologue time trial, a short event but very important because last year's inaugural event was decided at the end of 6 days by only 3 or 4 seconds. For a prologue, riders prepare by warming up on stationary rollers and clear their air passages by inhaling eucalyptus oil. Technology also plays a role as each rider tries to gain whatever advantage they can. Chevrolet LA Sheriff Steve Haig using a special aerodynamic bike, one of only 9 of its type in the world. Defending West Virginia champ Coors Light Scott Moninger in a skin suit for less wind resistance. The prologue time trial is used to establish a ranking of the riders before the longer races begin. And right now, all eyes are focused on former triathlete 21-year-old Texan Lance Armstrong, who must be considered the overall race favorite. Lance took the Thrift Drug Classic title in Pittsburgh and thus is the only rider in today's field with a chance at the $1 million bonus. The bonus to be paid out for winning the Thrift Drug Triple Crown, which consists of Pittsburgh, West Virginia, and the Core States Championship in Philadelphia.
Standing in Lance's way are the powerful legs of superstar sprinter Chevrolet LA Sheriff's Malcolm Elliott, who is currently tied with Lance in the Tour of America standings off his impressive victory in Atlanta's First Union Grand Prix.
Considering a great chance to do all sorts of incredible things in cycling, please welcome Lance Armstrong!
Lance, who as the favorite, is riding last in today's prologue. He must beat Steve Hegg's time of 2:49.80. Hegg's teammate Malcolm Elliott is currently third. It's an all-out test of one's limits and beyond. No strategy, just go as fast as you can for as long as you can.
There's a long ways to go. I want it to do well. I mean, I think it sets the stage and lets everybody know that we're here and we're serious, but bike racing's all a crapshoot.
Our race leader, Lance Armstrong!
Well, so far, Lance has rolled the dice and come up a winner. Steve Hegg gets second, and Lance's teammate Frankie Andreu third. Lance has certainly established from the start that he is the man to beat.
But with 5 full days of racing still ahead, it's a long way from over. Day 2 features the Elkins Mountain Road Race, 100 miles and 4 tough climbs throughout the Canaan Valley. Then it's further south, the 140-mile Elkins to White Sulphur Springs Road Race, and a climb up to 3,478-foot Cheat Mountain. West to Beckley for the 90-mile Beckley New River Gorge Road Race and a scenic view over the New River Gorge Bridge. Day 5 features 18 4-mile circuits in the Huntington Circuit Race. All finishes at the state capitol for the Charleston Circuit Race.
I think it's Team Motorola against the whole race. Nobody wants to see Lance and Team Motorola win $1 million, so it's going to be tough for us. Like I've said all along, it's next to impossible.
These screaming kids do, but rest assured, the field won't go quietly. Making a little early race noise of his own is Chevrolet LA Sheriff's Jim Copeland, who leads an early break. He knows his job is to force the pace and protect his team's designated hitter, Malcolm Elliott. Elliott, hiding in the pack, conserving energy, is not quite over a cold that took its toll in Pittsburgh.
Up front, a 9-man break has all the big teams represented. Coors Light's Alexi Graywall is his team's sole representative. For Subaru, Nate Reese and Paul Willerton would like to see this break succeed, but they know U.S. Pro Champion Bart Bowen is waiting in the pack, keeping an eye on Motorola's Lance Armstrong. With the encouragement of some school kids, the leaders have increased their lead to over 2 minutes. But if history has taught them one thing, it's that there is still plenty of race ahead, and that this race is far from over.
In the pack, Motorola is doing everything it can to protect race leader Lance Armstrong. Their lesson plan has been simple. Don't make Lance work too early and save him for the tough climbs through the Canaan Valley. His lead is only a few seconds, and he hopes today brings him a little more breathing room. And sure enough, it's here on the tough climb that Lance makes his move from the pack and goes for it all.
Go Lance!
Up with the leaders, word has reached Andy Bishop that Lance is trying to bridge the gap. His job now shifts to try to disrupt the break and slow it down.
Back with the chase, Lance isn't the only rider to make his move as Coors Light's Mike Engelman shows his climbing ability. The two battle to get away from the pack, and together they hope to bridge the gap to a splintering lead group that has already dropped down to 5 riders.
The pack is also split, and Motorola's Phil Anderson moves into position in case Lance's move falters. The chase of Mike Engelman and Lance Armstrong has reeled in Saturn's Greg Stropp and Scott Kyle's Jerzy Wozniak, who were dropped from the lead group on the climb and now seem to be heading backwards. Andy Bishop, who dropped back to help teammate Lance Armstrong, has successfully completed his job. Motorola's tactics have paid off, and the 8-man lead group now includes the man no one wanted up front, Lance Armstrong.
Chevrolet LA Sheriff, feeling a sense of urgency, makes its move, driving the train of chasers towards the leaders. Meanwhile, Lance Armstrong is once again on the move and feeling strong. Only Coors Light's Mike Engelman is able to keep up as the two motor on, knowing that their day's work is almost finished. For the main pack, their race was over long ago. They trailed the leaders by over 20 minutes. And sadly, U.S. Pro Champion Bart Bowen was one of the many who missed the break and is now just going along for the ride.
For the chase group, they have caught the riders that Lance and Mike dropped and formed one group 2 minutes in back of the two leaders. But this day seems to belong to Lance Armstrong.
The final sprint is no contest as the 21-year-old legs of Lance Armstrong are just too strong for 35-year-old Mike Engelman. Lance wins by 2 seconds with Saturn's Brian Walton and Coors Light Scott Moninger just beating out the chase group for third and fourth.
I felt super good. Took my chances and went with it.
So I don't see too many chinks in Lance's armor, but you know, we got Scott. Scott was third or fourth today, so he's, you know, modeled up there in GC, so maybe we can send a few guys, you know, a few threats away. There's things we can do. It's not over yet.
Winning the prologue in stage 1, Lance Armstrong enters day 3 with a 14-second lead over Coors Light's Mike Engelman, who still is looking for the number of the truck that hit him in yesterday's sprint. Try number 23.
It's a long day today, and there's still 4 days to go. Anybody, really, there's 20 guys within 2 minutes, so plenty of opportunity for them to win.
Yeah, as long as it should get a little grading, it looks like it's pretty up and down, so it could kind of really wear on people. I mean, the field got pretty shattered yesterday. It could really happen today and really kind of separate the teams up.
Coors Light, with 3 riders within 2 minutes and 16 seconds of the lead, plan a little race strategy. Motorola's Phil Anderson feeling pretty good as his team seems to be in control.
It's only stage 2, and the race has already come down to just 20 riders, as the rest of the field trails Lance by over 25 minutes. And while Lance and Team Motorola must be feeling pretty good about themselves, they know there are still many obstacles in their path. And maybe the most dangerous is Chevrolet LA Sheriff's Malcolm Elliott, who trails by only 2:15. With just over 100 miles completed, there are still over 400 miles of racing ahead.
Stage 2, the longest race at 134 miles. The riders travel from Elkins to Sulphur Springs and tackle a killer of a climb up Cheat Mountain.
Walk in the park, huh?
So far, see if everybody wants to take it easy today.
With so much racing ahead of them, it seems the field has decided to take it easy.
There's a yellow jersey!
Right where I want to be.
Steve Hegg, only 2 minutes and 14 seconds back, takes time to pose for the camera. He's not the only one.
I just wish they had the Triple Crown when I was 21.
The pack mainly staying together, traveling at 22 miles an hour. Lance, content to sit back and enjoy the scenery, as he knows his team's job is to protect him at all costs. Small attacks go and come, with Motorola always able to hook on and reel them back in.
Temperatures in the 80s forecast a hot day for the riders, most of whom were tired from the previous day's race.
It's really hot out here today.
Down the winding roads and up the 3,478-foot climb of the Cheat Mountain, the pack rides as one. Chevrolet LA Sheriff Steve Hegg taking time out to talk to team director Dave Lettieri. Teammate Malcolm Elliott, still within striking distance, waits patiently in the pack. Lance Armstrong under lock and key as his teammates lead the way and protect him, as their job is to take Lance across the finish line. Like good soldiers, they're following orders and carrying out their mission. Coors Light's Mike Engelman knows there's not much that can be done and waits for a Motorola mistake. But this day seems more destined for sightseeing and Motorola watching, as Team Motorola watches and waits. They've effectively taken the will out of the pack by countering every move and controlling the race.
I got the horse shot. Yeah. Broadcast.
Through the tough terrain of the West Virginia countryside, The exhausted field seems to only have the energy to fight for the Kmart sprint points and the Subaru Power Peak. Team Motorola taking every jab the field can throw at them and counters with a combination of their own. Each move pulled back by Motorola, who is letting no one out of the tight grip that they have on the field. Riding at the front and chasing down any attacks. Motorola motors on.
The pack remains intact going into the final sprint for the finish, where it's who else but super sprinter Malcolm Elliott taking it in a photo finish.
Here is the sprint. The windup. It looks like Latvia in the front, being challenged by... Oh, man, we have a photo finish.
But all in all, a good day for Motorola.
Lance is strong, you know. When you got a leader like that, it's not so difficult, you know.
Malcolm Elliott takes the stage and gains 10 seconds on overall leader Lance Armstrong, who still holds a mere 14-second lead over Coors Light's Mike Engelman. Lance continues to wear the yellow race leader's jersey, which he's worn since day one. Stage 3, 80 miles through scenic Beckley and the new River Bridge. Time to plan strategy for the LA Sheriffs. With only 3 days of racing left, the riders know that if they are about to make a dent in Lance Armstrong's armor, time is running out. For Motorola's Lance Armstrong, things couldn't be looking better as he enjoys the view from atop the New River Bridge and atop the standings.
Today's stage is picking up where yesterday's left off as all 6 Motorola riders lead the way and control the pace. It seems that behind every turn waits a Motorola rider doing his job, working for overall leader Lance Armstrong. Motorola seems unworried about Russian amateur Alexei Baikov. He's been in front all day, but at over 26 minutes down in the standings, he's considered no threat for the yellow jersey.
Lance, nevertheless, still fresh from a day of inactivity, makes a push at Byakov.
30 seconds from the Russian. 30 seconds.
Lance finishes second on the day, but increases his overall lead to 54 seconds. Teammate Andy Bishop retains his Power Peak lead, as does Scott McKinley in the sprint competition.
End of the day, time for a cold one. For the bikes, that is. Time to make sure the equipment sparkles and is waiting and ready for the next day's events.
Off to Huntington for a 75-mile circuit race, 14 laps of a 5.5-mile course. A hard race to take a bite out of Lance's lead. A good chance for everyone to get a good look at the man everyone has been talking about.
The charming university town of Huntington has come out in full force to see not only Lance, but all the riders of the race. Verno Gaggioli still searching for that elusive win, but the fans have eyes for one man. And Lance and his teammates haven't disappointed as they've controlled this race from the front the entire time.
Back in the pack, who else but Team Motorola leads the way for Lance Armstrong. The race seems to have settled into Motorola's pace, and while up front there are still moves being made, the field seems content to remain together at a comfortable pace.
Scott McKinley, who was leading in the Kmart sprint competition, is in a bit of trouble. Through a frantic feed zone, the riders go. Motorola serving up their special helping. Even Lance Armstrong starting to feel the victory within his grasp.
For Mike Engelman, who has been trailing Lance all day and throughout the race, his 54-second deficit seems too much. Thomas Craven goes for Chevrolet LA Sheriff with under 2 laps to go. for the finish once again belongs to Russian Alexei Byakov, with Roberto Gaggioli of Coors Light finishing second in the same time. 18-year-old Alexei Byakov takes his second consecutive stage, but still remains 26 minutes in back of overall leader Lance Armstrong. Armstrong, once again finishing in the lead group, has retained his 54-second lead.
Race hard. Last day, what the heck, nothing to lose.
For Team Motorola, a job well done.
Still another day to go, and after tomorrow, then you can say it's a good job.
It's on to the state capitol in Charleston, West Virginia for the last stage, a 100-mile circuit race. Team Coors Light has a 2-minute lead over Chevrolet LA Sheriffs in the team competition, but trail overall leader Lance Armstrong by 54 seconds.
It shouldn't be a problem, you know, along the river, but up the hill and on the descent.
Mike Engelman can do nothing but sit and wait for the opportunity that has so far eluded him.
It's the field's last chance to stop Lance from sailing to an easy victory. Cruising to an early lead is U.S. national team member Eddie Gregus, who's labeled no threat to the field. Motorola's Andy Bishop uses this last day to put an exclamation point on his Subaru Power Peak lead. Mercatoni Uno's Simona Biaschi, Chevrolet LA Sheriff's Jamie Polonetti, and Scott by Kyle's Steve Tilford move to an early lead.
The three leaders get a good view of the chasing pack as they cross by the finish line. Lance takes time out to refuel for the finish. His objective is not to do anything to jeopardize his overall lead.
Second place, Mike Engelman. He's patiently waiting to jump on any Motorola mistake and watches Lance at every opportunity. But the old pros of the Motorola team won't let anything get in the way of Lance's trip to the podium and a step closer at the $1 million bonus. If Team Motorola can just hold on, all of their hard work for the past 5 days will pay off and put this man into the winner's seat.
Up front, Steve Tilford is faltering, while Biaschi and Polonetti go on. The two know it is their battle for the stage win. Meanwhile, Steve Tilford continues his journey backwards. Up front, Biaschi easily outsprints Polonetti to take the victory.
Back in the pack, an exhausted but well-protected Lance Armstrong knows it's only a matter of moments till the overall victory is his. LA Sheriff's Malcolm Elliott sprints for third place and collects the bonus points that ensure his spot on the podium.
But the day belongs to this man.
Hey, mate. Easy cruising, huh?
For Mike Engelman, a second-place overall finish and a Coors Light victory in the team standings. For Chevrolet LA Sheriffs, a third overall and second-place team finish. All in all, a great 6 days of racing.
We think this bicycle race will be a great world event. We're excited about the huge increase in crowds this year, and it's a great race, and we're really proud of what's going on.
Final standings in the Kmart Sprint Spots has Coors Light Scott McKinley the winner. Motorola's Andy Bishop takes the Subaru Power Peak, but the man of the week and the only man with a chance to win the Thrift Drug Triple Crown and the $1 million bonus, Lance Armstrong.
It'll be tough. I think Coors States is a hard race to win, but regardless of the $1 million prize, it's been a race that I've wanted to win all year long, and now with that staring me in the face, it's an even bigger race.
So as youngsters dream of future glory and a hero named Lance Armstrong, it's time to say so long. Next stop on the Tour of America, the Coors States Championship, and for Lance, a real shot at $1 million. For John Eustace, I'm Brian Drever. So long, everybody. His name is Lance Armstrong, and today, if his legs feel strong, this 21-year-old Texan can become cycling's first $1 million baby. He's going for his third consecutive victory, with only today's Core States Championship standing in the way of winning the Thrift Drug Triple Crown, which consists of the Thrift Drug Classic in Pittsburgh and the Kmart Classic of West Virginia, his two most recent victories. Look out, Philadelphia. Lance is coming to town. It's all part of the Tour of America, a series of races that challenge cycling's best. Lance hopes today he can best the rest and not only ride away with cycling's first $1 million bonus, but with the Stars and Stripes jersey, which signifies the U.S. professional champion. A jersey Subaru's Bart Bowen has been wearing since winning last year's race. It's the Tour of America Cycling Series. Today's stop, the city of brotherly love, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and the Core States U.S. Pro Cycling Championship, where all eyes will be focused on Motorola's budding superstar, Lance Armstrong. For Lance, his focus is on more than just the money at stake.
No, it's more on my mind as being a national champion. I want to wear the Stars and Stripes for a year. I want to go back to Europe, and I want to I want that flag on my back for a year. And if it comes with, if it's $1 million jersey, then it is. But that's my main priority today.
Bart Bowen's main priority is to get back that Stars and Stripes jersey, which he has taken off for the first time since last year.
Well, I just want to get this thing going, so I can see how I really feel. You wonder all night, I hope I can be good, hope I can do it again, but you never know until the race starts. So I just want to get going and let Motorola, let's go out there and try and dictate the race and see if I can take another shot at it.
Where else would Lance start but as the center of attention in the center of the pack? A field of over 120 professionals battle for the $25,000 first prize, the title of U.S. professional champion, and for Lance and Lance only, a $1 million bonus.
Through the streets of Philadelphia they go. 10 laps, 156 miles, and over 500,000 spectators await them through a scenic course John Eustace knows only too well.
The Parkway. The world first got a glimpse of it in the movie Rocky, and now the Core States Championship is making it famous. The race begins and ends here on the Benjamin Franklin Parkway, in between Logan Circle and Aikens Oval. And now it's off to scenic Kelly Drive, overlooking the beautiful Schuylkill River. It's on this wide open flat stretch between Center City and Manayunk that many attacks have formed. Look for a lot of high-speed action to happen on this section. And now it's on to Manayunk with the infamous Manayunk Wall. It's here that the riders will suffer the most as they climb the 285 vertical feet in less than half a mile. Look for all the strong riders to be in the front here, for the weaker ones just to be hanging on. And for those who make it over the top, there's the fall from the wall as they go back down to Kelly Drive on the way to Strawberry Meadows. Strawberry Meadows, this long grind up from the river, is a real tough spot on the course. Riders who've gotten a lead on the Manayunk Wall will be trying to maintain it here. Those who've been dropped will be desperate to catch back up. As the riders blast through here on the way to Lemon Hill, there won't be much time for sightseeing. And last but not least is Lemon Hill. The short, steep climb at the end of a lap is hard enough to shell out any of the weaker riders. Not only do the riders do it 10 times on the large laps, but it's included in the 3 small finishing circuits at the end. All of this adds up to a 156-mile course that's hard enough to challenge the pros.
And it's on the drive where the first moves of the race are underway as a 13-man breakaway tests their legs before reaching the Manayunk Wall. While so much of cycling is almost poetry in motion, the riders are now in Manayunk, up out of their saddles and attacking the most grueling part of this Core States course. They call it the Wall.
In a pack they approach, it makes many men quit. What is this?
The wall there, I think they call it.
Europeans hear tales of the depths some men sunk. Of this wall in a town, what's it called?
Manayunk. I couldn't remember what the name of it was.
Like a kid and a bitter medicine, riders take the wall like a pill, again and again.
You got to get up the damn hill, far into the course, I don't know how many times.
10 times for the bikers who ride the long haul. One usually drops out with
good memories of the wall.
Last year, Jim Copeland won this race within a race. The King of the Wall will set his own pace. Copeland went for the money past others who would die to win $2,500, his piece of the pie.
You know, it hasn't been psychologically damaging to me, which I know it is for some people.
Oh yeah, it's a mind game and it feeds on devotion. With varying form, riders win with
emotion, and that's what drives everybody.
Forget the emotion. It's O'Brien's shower, propelling these riders who run out of power. With faces contorted, they push as hard as they can. From one who has been there, it looks like, oh man! What self-respecting person puts this face on his head? Their legs churn and they burn.
You just feel like lead, and you only get heavier as the race progresses.
You know what they're thinking. I want one of those beers.
The noise is so deafening and it hurts your ears.
Some would quit if they could, if it were not for that noise. The wall is the difference.
Between the men and the boys.
Spectators will help when the hearts really pound, yelling, "Go, you can do it."
Just this deafening wall of sound.
Propelled by the fans, most will conquer the wall. The rules are simple. There's no rules at all. Well, speaking of rules, this looks like a referee. No, it's our man on the course.
Hi, I'm Nelson Vales, and I'm here in the back of the pack. I'll be monitoring what's going on. How you doing, Davis? I'll be monitoring what's going on and also talking to a few of the riders and just watching the race unfold before you. But right now, we're only going 19 miles an hour. On the way out, it was 35 miles an hour. But this is a pretty slow point of the race, and I'm able to talk to you right now. But during lap 4 and 7, a few of the riders are going to come back and talk to me, and we'll watch the race unfold right before your eyes. So stay tuned.
I know how this guy would like to see it unfold. This is the first time in a year Bart Bowen has not worn a certain red, white, and blue jersey. He is all that is right in the world of sports. Bart Bowen rides a bike, and on June 7th last year, he rode it better than anyone else.
They know what they're seeing.
The scene, the Core States Pro Cycling Championship.
Core States Championship.
For the first time in its 8 years, it was won alone.
Never has the race been won in a solo breaking race.
Bart Bowen is used to riding alone. Mile upon seemingly endless mile, Bart pedals across the desert of New Mexico.
I like it out here with the cows, sagebrush.
Through searing heat, Bowen rides outside of Albuquerque, to his hometown of Ruidoso, New Mexico.
This way you have to train 6 hours just to get to the next town.
It's not very often, you know, when you see an athlete, sometimes by the time they've done it for 5 or 6 years, they kind of get to that point, oh, I'm just doing it, you know. But I know that it's still right for me because I still have that feeling like, oh, I really, you know, it's just fun to get up and want to ride your bike every day and see the world.
Cycling, you may be surprised to learn, came as an afterthought to Bart. He went to the University of New Mexico on a skiing scholarship, graduating with a degree in architecture.
Someday I'll finish this model.
Bart's goal was to ski for the red, white, and blue. Winning Core States was a dream fulfilled as he donned those colors, the jersey of United States professional champion. As Bowen rode the home stretch in Philadelphia, he joined the class of the elite.
And until you do it, until you feel it, it's almost incomprehensible.
Is the winner of the course.
I know now, but before, I would have never thought that it felt like that. I had really pushed it. I had the form enough to where I pushed it way beyond, you know, like regular limits. I lost a few shingles off the space shuttle or something, and I was burning all over.
The silence of Ruidoso is broken now and then by the word of Bart's accomplishments, and word he's coming home. You hear when Bart's come home. While other athletes glide on fame and fortune, Bart Bowen ascends with each lunge, alone in New Mexico, the land of enchantment.
Well, Bart's far from alone right now. He's one of the many in the pack on the Parkway.
Coors Light is driving this lead group that has been out since lap 1.
but their once 9-minute lead is down to just under a minute. That's thanks to the efforts of Team Motorola. Let's go to our man in the pack, Nelson Vales.
Well, everybody's just sitting in right now. I mean, here's Roberto. Everything okay? He says everything is fine, so he's going to eat a little bit and just wait for his turn.
Nelson, we're concerned about two things. Can Lance Armstrong win $1 million, and can you survive 10 laps of this race?
First, it's possible he can win $1 million, and no, it's impossible for me to climb that wall.
While Roberto's waiting his turn and Nelson is avoiding the wall, Team Motorola has forcefully brought this group back together. It's a whole new race with under 50 miles remaining. Coors Light has already fired some of its guns, but still have a couple of silver bullets in reserve.
Hey, New Jersey. New colors. How about that, huh? What do you think? Pretty bright.
It's a new look, a team thing.
We will. Make it a we thing.
Coors Light is off and rolling in '93 with the reunion of Davis Finney and former 7-Eleven teammate Ron Kiefel. This we thing is making cycling fun again for this terrific tandem. Ron Kiefel's return to the U.S. circuit has injected new life into an aging Coors Light team.
Orovitz has got it.
New life was needed. Greg Orovitz is the only rider to win here for Coors Light in 1989, edging out then Wheaties' Mike Engelman. So where's Orovitz? Taking to the dirt. He's racing mountain biking's pro circuit. Roberto Gaggioli won here in '88, but not with Coors Light.
It's more chilly than you think.
At ages 34 and 35, respectively, Davis Finney and Mike Engelman are the oldest members of Coors Light. Training around their homes in Boulder, Colorado, the two have become good friends. Their ages and mentality are reflective of Coors Light today.
Yeah, the mellow guys, you know? We still have something to prove, but we're not going to be real mouthy about it.
1991, Davis Finney loses a dash to arch rival Michel Zanoli. Finney is U.S. Pro Champion.
It would be a lifelong dream, I think, for anybody on the Coors Light team to cross that line and throw their arms up.
Back on Kelly Drive, Coors Light's Ron Kiefel is hanging back with Nelson Vales.
Does this win have an effect on you going out to the hill?
Yeah, you know, it keeps the group together. You can sit on the back here a little bit, relax, rest. The Motorola team is doing a lot of work up there. So towards the end, they may not have all their players that they need.
Out in front, Kiefel's teammate Dave Mann has broken away and is now being swallowed up on the wall. And by who else? Lance Armstrong, who's flying up the wall, making it look almost effortless. But Coors Light counters. Roberto Gaggioli takes Armstrong's wheel. At the bottom of the wall, disaster strikes for Team Subaru. In the back of the pack, they're caught in a crash. The last American team to have a chance, LA Sheriff, has made it through to the front.
We have right now Dave Lettieri, the team director of the Chevrolet LA Sheriff team, in his car. And Dave, what is your assessment of the situation with Jim Copeland in the breakaway? I personally think you got the right guy up there.
I think we have a good guy. Jim is very strong. He's won a lot of races this year. I don't think the odds are for us. We're 1 versus 6, and the Italians have Subaru Antonino's there, so I don't think that's good for us. Jim can win the race, I feel, and if it comes back together, we have our guys in place.
Coors Light is in place too. Roberto Gaggioli is the man they wanted in the lead group.
We're not done yet. We're going to have to attack, I think, with 1 or 2 guys if they've got the horsepower. But Gadge is out there to win the race. I mean, that was our plan before the race, and I told John, I said, Gadge is the guy, maybe Kiefel. And everything has played out well for us so far because we wanted him to mark Lance. We figured that Gadge was the only guy who could stay with Lance on the wall. The race is not over yet because now the Sheriffs have to chase. Finally, they have to stick their nose in the wind. And we'll see if they do because they have to bring this back pretty quickly or it's gone. This is the bike race.
The gap is now over 3 minutes with 27 miles to go. Like a swarm of bees, the pack must reel Armstrong's brake back within reach. This is where it really starts to burn. Those legs are filled with lactic acid, but Lance Armstrong looks like the race has just started. Lance Armstrong could win $1 million, but what he really wants is the jersey. He wants to wear the red, white, and blue.
Teams in the pack have missed the major move. They have to go now if they want to stay in this race. For Coors Light, their man, Roberto Gaggioli, is right where they want him. With only 15 miles to go, he is perhaps the strongest sprinter in the group.
Team Subaru, trying to overcome an earlier accident which caused them to miss the break, is running out of time. None feels that more than defending champion Bart Bowen.
With this, the final climb up the wall, it's Lance's last chance to separate himself from the group. And right on cue, Lance is out of the saddle, pushing himself into a higher gear. After over 140 miles of racing, Lance has somehow found the strength to put it in overdrive. The group can do nothing but watch Lance dance away into the lead, as they, compared to Lance, seem to be standing still. Just 7 miles and 3 short finishing loops stand in the way of Lance and his $1 million pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. Was there ever a shadow of a doubt that Lance Armstrong is the man to beat? Coors Light, looking a little desperate, leads the pack as their man Roberto Gaggioli couldn't stay with Lance and was dropped on the wall. Lance has now increased his lead over this chasing group to over a minute. With a good view of the chasing group, Lance knows there is just 6 miles to victory.
Coors Light's Roberto Gaggioli can now only hope to hold on for second place. For Lance Armstrong, first place is all that counts.
Looking back is the 5-man chase group who is being swallowed up by the pack. LA Sheriff on the lead with who else but Motorola's Sean Yates tailing him. A single drive, a single focus. Lance motors on, knowing his teammates are doing everything they can to disrupt the chasing pack and protect his lead.
Increasing his lead to over 2 minutes, Lance can now sit up and let everyone take notice. Behind him, Italy's Gianluca Pierbon and Team Duckett's Graham Miller battle it out for second and third.
Lance, waving to the pack and thanking his teammates, knows that one more trip up the parkway and victory. The U.S. Pro jersey and the $1 million bonus are his. After over 6 hours on the bike, Lance soaks in the applause of the throngs of fans, including his mother, who have come to see him win. True to form, Lance doesn't disappoint them. Cycling's first $1 million man, U.S. Pro Champion Lance Armstrong, who knows this victory wasn't achieved alone.
You know, we set it up to do it, and he put a fantastic ride by Lance, you know.
Sean, here comes Lance, the bear on the animal.
Sean Yates, Phil Anderson, and the other Motorola riders. A weary look of accomplishment. For Lance, a joyous celebration with his mother.
This is definitely the highlight of my career, if not the highlight of my life, I think. You know, the team was superb. What they did for me today was the biggest motivation I could have had. I had my family here. I had my friends here. It's a beautiful day. It's a big day for me, but I think it's a bigger day for cycling. To have cycling have a $1 million winner, it should do wonders for it. Everybody won today.
Including the city that has hosted this event for the past 9 years.
It's really the premier American bicycle race throughout the world, so it focuses attention on us. It makes Philadelphia the focal point of racing, and that's great for the city.
A dream come true with a $1 million payday. And the right to wear the stars and stripes. Second place to Italian Gianluca Pierbon. Third to New Zealand's Graham Miller.